Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for February 15th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 7. I thought I was going to get away from that, but no. Everything old is new again. If you want today's show notes over on Twitch, you hit !RH. If you're over on YouTube, you can just, review the show notes because they're embedded in the description already. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI whose visualizer you see, and maybe there's a graphic artifact there that you'll see as well. That's because I've got lights behind my green screen that are bleeding through. Anyway, we're going to talk about these 5 articles. I almost said 10, but that's Non Sequitur news. Anyway, AI designs enzymes from scratch. AI versus US, and by US I mean us. Extended reality news roundup. This is provided by they've done a rundown, and we'll get into it when we get there. And mystery signal behind a dead galaxy and humanized mice. What the? Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, I'm not sure why Reality Hacker isn't up on the screen.
Oh, it's because I never mind that. Shh. AI. It's okay. So welcome to the show.
There's a bit of a critter commotion in the background.
Yeah, I don't want to know. So let me do this real quick. !RH if you're in the chat over on Twitch. Now you get to see the 5 articles that we're going to talk about. We don't bury the links in links. We link to the snippets that are over on ohmtown.com. You might actually have witnessed a marked increase in the number of articles that are aggregated and the speed at which they're provided. That's because I found one place was really kind of being a pain in the butt and kind of contaminating our news. And so I got rid of a couple of sources. That said, if you're interested in providing information, or if you are interested in providing a lead as to the source of information, some news site that you think would be worthy of adding to our aggregator, please let me know. You can send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. That said, we're going to get into these 5 articles for the Reality Hacker show. First article's over in Greenogram, which has suddenly started rising to the top in our news because it's aggregating news that is relevant to Reality Hacker. And I found it really interesting that not only have I seen this in Greenogram, but I've seen this AI concept being applied to enzyme and protein folding on YouTube. Articles are coming out and being posted on YouTube.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah, and so when this was submitted, I was like, oh, whoa, oh, okay. I guess this is like rising into people's zeitgeist of science. So scientists use AI to design lifelike enzymes from scratch. Combined approach takes AI-engineered enzymes one step closer to practical applications. The thing about this is I cannot move past the idea that it's going to be a hallucination, and we bumble fart our way into creating something that acquires capabilities.
But it's not like a Chat GPT that's being used for this. This is perhaps an AI built specifically for this purpose. So maybe it has good data.
Could it? So Miriam Nadaf put this article together. It's an article. That's what they call it in the science.
That's the new thing.
It is. It's what the youth say today. Article. So it's in nature.com, and it says a combined approach takes AI engineered enzymes one step. God, I quit. One step closer.
Articles and steps.
I quit. Well, anyway, there it is. An enzyme structure designed using a combination of machine learning tools. This is a milestone for enzyme engineering, says Huimin Shao, A synthetic biologist at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, quote, "It shows that now it's possible to design enzymes with native-like activity that could make them useful practically." Which is kind of a, hey, we created something, but we don't have a use for it, so let's create a use for it kind of a thing. Earlier
What
efforts.
could go wrong there?
Gain of function doesn't mean shit.
By the
right?
way, I think we've missed something key here. There is such a thing now as a synthetic biologist.
You know, I rolled right on over that, going, you know what, I'm going to have to do some background check here, because synthetic biologist is basically creating something from nothing. It's entirely synthetic. It's not bound by nature other than the physics of nature. Earlier efforts to design enzymes from scratch using AI have had limited success, often producing ones that stall after the first step of a reaction. In the latest study, published in Science on 13 February, researchers overcame this challenge by combining several machine learning approaches. The new enzymes were 60,000 times better at speeding up the reaction than ones previously designed to work in a similar way. Now, here is the kicker about this. We've used AI to create this stuff, and it may not be useful today. But just like DNA amplification, it was 30 years old, the concept of the enzyme that was used to amplify DNA. And so now this is going to languish somewhere in a research paper until somebody uses AI to say, you know, there's an enzyme that existed to do this back in 2025.
Oh, yeah. I hope they're cataloging all this, for lack of a better term, so that this is more easily
digestible, right?
Accessed or digested or whatever, so that when somebody's embarking on a new experiment, they can go, oh, I can start here.
So I didn't log in, but this is the nuts and bolts of this article. There's more. If you go over and look at it, you'll probably find more. But they're basically tailoring these enzymes to focus on a particular type of function and performance feature. It may do something great in the future, or it may stall at some point. You know, its application may not ever rise to the level. But this is the type of fundamental research that needs to be funded by everybody so that everybody has access to it. Otherwise, it's going to be siloed into the have and have-nots type of category, where only business has the ability to look at this and go, okay, yeah, this is profound and can be applied. We know about DNA amplification and everything else because information has been shared across academia. So these new enzymes were 60,000 times better at speeding up the reaction than the ones previously designed to work in a similar way. So you can imagine just how the efficacy of this is absolutely profound. They say it's like going to the thrift store and buying a suit, and that suit probably won't fit you perfectly. That's what happens when we try to design enzymes that way, said study co-author Anna Luco, a protein designer at the University of Washington in Seattle. They wanted to build an enzyme that could undergo a 4-step chemical reaction called serine hydrolysis, which involves breaking an ester bond between molecules. Serine hydrolases are the natural enzymes that carry out this reaction, and they're involved in many biological processes, including digestion, metabolizing fats, and blood clotting. So this could be applied to something that could stem blood flow. So if somebody is bleeding out, they can just squirt this stuff or something associated with clotting. And then because it's 60,000 times better than the previous means of enzymatic reactions, it is that much better at clotting blood or metabolizing fats, breaking down. So I think that this is pretty damn amazing. So they created a deep neural network called Placer to refine the structural design by modeling the locations of atoms in the enzyme and the molecules it binds during every step of the reaction. And so the AI worked as a filter.
Yeah,
creating
this is
that.
really incredible. I mean, I don't expect they'll have as significant leaps every time they do this, but 60,000 times faster is pretty significant. And while I get it, if it's at one some unit of measure, maybe it's not as significant a jump, but all these things mean that the applications are going to expand.
Yeah, that's 60,000 times is kind of the stat that you go, this isn't going from one to two, you know? So I hope that this actually um, continues to take place into the far future and we keep on enhancing this. Um, but stay alert. All right, let's keep on going. The next article is over in Technology Today. That's another one of our shows, but that's tomorrow. Some tech leaders think AI could outsmart us and wipe out humanity. A professor of AI is not worried, and nor am I. In 1989, political scientist Francis Fukuyama predicted that we were approaching the end of history. He meant the similar liberal democratic values were taking hold in societies around the world. How wrong could he have been? So this article breaks out basically throwing out a whole bunch of historical claims. Toby Walsh from The Conversation put this article together. But I don't think that it's AI. AI has the ability to be utilized like a knife, like anything, like a snowball. It could be used for fun, or you could dip it in water and it turns into an ice ball and knocks somebody unconscious. AI is a tool. How we use it is really what matters. In 2022, they say, and by the way, this is the author Toby Walsh's opinion about this and observations. They say in this article, in 2022, Wunderkind Sam Altman, chief executive OpenAI, one of the fastest growing companies in the history of capitalism, explained the pros and cons. I think it's a good case around AI. It is just so unbelievably good that you sound really crazy. You sound like a really crazy person to start talking about it. The bad case is, I think this is important to say, is like lights out for all of us. But in all
I
of
think
these
that goes to
cases,
your point earlier, though, right? Like a lot of things can be used for different purposes.
yeah, and it's the ethical boundary that you pick and choose. And so,
And it doesn't mean we shouldn't have innovation.
no, not at all. And like I said, and I've said this before. One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. It depends on which side of the fence you're on. In all cases, a mild-mannered person will say that you can't use it for violence or causing harm. That is what a sane person, an ethical person, a moral person, a person who isn't prone to violence and war and conflict and exploiting it and selling the weapons to both sides, kind of a thing. That is what a person says, that it could be good. So why not use it for great good? Well, when the haves have it and nobody else has it, they become defensive about it, protective of it, and they don't want other people to be able to position themselves to take it. 40 years ago, maybe around that time, I got into a discussion with somebody who was rather zealous in their opinion about things, that if somebody is causing harm, then there is only one way out. Then so you resolve it, and sometimes it has to turn to violence. And unfortunately, that is the way of the world. So when nobody has access except for the haves to AI, and it gets exploited for abusive purposes, then you can see why somebody would lay claim to AI is going to outsmart us and wipe us all out.
Well, it can
Instead,
only be smart as the programming, too. And so I
right.
don't know that it necessarily suddenly is extra brilliant just because it's technology that people don't all understand.
Yeah, the only way that it could ever get out of hand is if we enable it to get out of hand. It's not going to construct itself. It's not going to be able to
Asimov.
enslave. Yeah, yeah. But like we've seen some experiments, simulations where battlefield commander says, go eliminate the enemy, and then they countermand it, the robot, the drone, literally, and this is in a simulation, the drone turned around, eliminated the commander, and then went and eliminated the enemy.
Right. What could go wrong there?
Because
But notice there was some programming to do the function that it did. It just went after perhaps the wrong person.
Yeah. So they say, in 1950, Turing wrote what is generally considered the first scientific paper about AI. Just 1 year later, he made a prediction that haunts AI researchers like the author. Once machines could learn from experience like humans, Turing predicted that it would not take long to outstrip our feeble powers. At some stage, therefore, we should have to expect the machines to take control, but only if we allow it. But there are mad scientists out there that will give it as much as they want, like,
They
AI
think it's
take
for
the
their
wheel.
benefit, right? Even if not to society's. But I mean,
Yeah.
we know that could backfire too. But
Yeah.
but I mean, that's like, don't have don't allow knives or something, which have a
Right.
lot of useful purposes. We know they can be used for non-useful purposes too, or non-good purposes.
Right. Yeah. And there's all these scenarios about how they're going to outsmart us. And just because a person has money does not mean that they are the brilliant, awe-inspiring person that everyone should follow. Most of the people that have money were born with it, were given it, didn't earn jack shit, and have lived off of public money and or abusive practices, trade practices, and greed. Plain and simple. You find me any ethical, non-sociopathic billionaire, and I'll find the room where only one person is sitting out of the entire population of billionaires. And they're a very, very lonely person looking around going, what the frick is going on? Anyway, I don't really buy into this claim. You can come and read the rest of this article. I selected it because the title alone. But when it comes out talking about politics, I think that it's already lost the message here, because AI should be a tool, and it's society that should be saying that it's nothing more than a tool. It shouldn't be leveraged as a political gambit. But it is going to be taking jobs because the people that see it as a means to eliminate humans instead of it being a tool to amplify what humans are capable of. So,
right. I mean, I think it's an interesting article.
Yeah.
But I'm not concerned about this direction.
The only way that it's going to happen is if the people with the means to make it happen. And it's going to be by putting them in peril, unless they put in the 3 rules and then a 4th one, like...
Right, but then hopefully it doesn't override it, like we just mentioned in the simulation.
Yep, like RoboCop. There was a rule that they can't hurt any of the corporatists, but then they override it because they had a soul. So let's keep moving. The next article is over in ohmTown and under the RealityHacker channel. So all of these that I talk about are siloed within a particular context. So a show that we put together. We have 7.
A channel, right?
A channel, yeah. So there's 50 channels that are over at ohmtown.com, 7 of which exist as shows. 6 are weekly shows on the weekend, 3 today and 3 different ones tomorrow. And then Non Sequitur News is Monday through Friday. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then go over to ohmTown. And be sure to follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube. Anyway, this next article is over in RealityHacker. And XR means extended reality. News roundup, trombone champ, underworld overseer, ashen arrows, and more. The article is by uploadvr.com. Henry Stockdale put the article together, and if you've never heard of Trombone Champ, it's a blast to watch. 1 second. One.
I think your audio cut out.
No, it was intentional. So I needed to turn off those lights. Anyway, Trombone Champ Unflattened. Toots of Love, which, depending on...
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I dig this. So Trombone Champ is a VR game where you actually play a trombone virtually. You can play it non-VR, but from Trombone Champ to Fantasy VR Archery, the latest extended reality news roundup is live. You can go over to uploadvr.com and check it all out directly. We'll skim through it really quick. But yeah, Trombone Champ Unflattened continues post-launch updates in time for Valentine's Day. Dysim and Underworld Overseer are heading to PlayStation VR 2. This is one that I haven't seen before, but Trombone Champ I have. It's actually pretty funny to watch people play it. Let's see what else. Ash and Arrows drops new trailer ahead of this month's full release. Ash and Arrows is a VR fantasy archery game based on Norse mythology that previously launched in Steam Early Access, featuring a single-player campaign and co-op support for up to 2 friends. You play as a hunter tasked with fending off hordes of monsters to stop Ragnarok. Before its full release this month on Quest, Pico, and Steam, it received a new launch trailer. And then,
do you think this is compatible with VR bows?
I can't reach it. It's right there. It depends. I'll have to check it out. So I use a Pico and Steam. That bow that I've got is attached to the Pico, or well, it's a VR compatible bow, but you have to link it to the VR interface. Otherwise, you can just use an iPad or other smart device or tablet or phone or anything really. But it's better if it's in VR. So I'll have to give it a shot. I'll give that game right there a shot because it's in early access. There may be a demo that I'll be able to try out. But I'll give it a shot, and then we'll report back. Unfortunately, all of our shows are really constructed within the last 24 hours. So when I see this stuff, for the most part, I'm seeing everything combined as it is. So I wasn't really prepared, but I will check this out. So I'll put it in my Steam store and get it. So I hope that it is, because there are other games that are compatible with this VR bow, and it's a real bow, a real recurve bow. Has the same weight and pull of a real bow. It's the same size as a real bow. It has tracking in multiple dimensions. And so you pull back a string and you knock a virtual arrow, but it's actually permanently knocked. And it gets captured inside this spring-loaded tube so that you actually fire like right at your screen. So it can freak somebody out, but it never gets released into the air. Yeah. Oh, who is it? Wonder Fitter. That's what it's called. It's a Wonder Fitter bow.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll talk about it again once I'm better prepared. So that's some of the stuff that's over at uploadvr.com. And you can follow the link through Twitch or through the channel notes over on YouTube. Let's keep going. This next article goes beyond our planet. A mystery signal lights up a dead galaxy, baffling astronomers. Astronomers have pinpointed an FRB outside a dead galaxy for the first time, challenging existing models that link FRBs to star-forming regions. Using CHIME FRB outriggers, they suspect the burst came from a globular cluster of ancient stars. This discovery forces a rethink of FRB origins. So McGill University put this article together for sci-fi daily.com, which isn't, no, not Sci-Fi Daily, Sci-Tech Daily, my gosh.
Okay, yes.
I don't know why I said Sci-Fi Daily, because it's so sci-fi to me.
It looks sci-fi, right?
So yeah, Just so you can define what FRBs are, fast radio bursts are what's going on here. And essentially what happened is an FRB was emanating from behind a dead galaxy and lit it up. So
That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
yeah. And so using the CHIME FRB outriggers, they suspect the burst came from a globular cluster of ancient stars. This discovery forces a rethink of FRB origins and sets the stage for more revelations as technology improves. Astronomers studying the origins of enigmatic fast radio bursts have made a major discovery that could reshape our understanding of these powerful cosmic signals. Designated FRB 2024-0209A, outside a dead galaxy, one that no longer forms new stars. This is the first time an FRB has been found so far from its host galaxy, making it a unique and puzzling case. Pinpointing the cosmic origins of the FRB, they are intense, millisecond-long radio flashes emanating from galaxies millions of light years away, and while most are isolated events, some repeat sporadically, making them key targets for efforts to pinpoint their exact location in the sky. One of the newly operational CHIME FRB outrigger telescopes, which enhance the capabilities of the main CHIME telescope located in Penticton? How do you pronounce that? Penticton, BC, or Penticton? Penticton. There you go.
I guess so. That's an odd name.
British Columbia. Astronomers have placed FRB 2024-0209A in a region of space associated with a dead galaxy or one that's no longer forming stars. But yeah, like I said, I suspect that this thing is outside. It's lighting up a dead galaxy and it's on the other side of it. This breakthrough marks the first pinpointing of an FRB on the sky using CHIME FRB outrigger in this case. The one located in Princeton, BC. And so I don't know if that is a typo.
Yeah, I don't either. And I wonder too if because of this, we'll start to see more of this kind of activity, right? Like if we can sense it, then we can study it.
Yeah, is that? Oh, the main one is at this location, but the outrigger is in Princeton. This is... Yeah, I almost thought that this was like an anagram of Princeton, but it's a different location. Well, anyway, them being able to look at these things is quite interesting, but I'm not sure. You know, there's a new attitude that's forming within, I guess, physics in general, that's calling out kind of this idea that science is being done simply to keep people employed in big science. But there is some fundamental science that actually needs to be done. And the shame is going to be if we only choose to do stuff that has a positive outcome because we know it's going to have a positive outcome, instead of fundamental research showing what doesn't happen is also a positive.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have research that explores things that we don't know the answer to. And sometimes the negative answer is a good thing for shaping future research.
Right, because that
Plus,
negative...
we know how many accidental discoveries and everything.
Yeah, think about that. We know about DNA amplification because somebody put something out there that didn't have effective application at least, until somebody said, hey, let's use it for DNA amplification. And the reason why I harp on this so often nowadays, at least, is because it applies to so much in biology, you cannot get away from it. And so it's such a simple thing to look back at the historical record and go, oh, look, somebody created this at another university 3 decades ago. Now we can use it, but we couldn't use it up until that point.
Right. We didn't have the right technology or something to really explore it fully.
Right. So bigger minds. I'm not a researcher in academia, so I'm not calling anything out one way or another. I'm just trying to drive home the idea that there are people out there that are actually talking about quote unquote junk science that's doing nothing more than creating jobs but only for job's sake, not for true scientific output. And I think it's a shame, because what's going to end up happening is this great filter is going to take place, where the only way you can actually do any science is if you can show already that it is demonstrably a
Right,
positive
which at
output.
that point, what is it really adding?
Right. Let's keep going. This next article is over in Technology Today. It's the last one for today's Reality Hacker. Again, this signal is kind of hacking reality, because we didn't know this was possible until the signal appeared.
Right, and it at least gives the appearance that something else is out there that we don't know about.
Yeah. And there's so much that we don't know about. Hell, we don't know what's in our oceans, let alone what's out in the world, out in the universe. So this last article is over, and this is the last article for the February 15th Reality Hacker Season 2, Episode 7. This article is over in Technology Today, which is tomorrow's actual show. It's the mid-roll show. New humanized mice bring scientists closer to reversing aging. WSU researchers have created HUT mice with human-like short telomeres, allowing for groundbreaking studies on aging, cancer, and longevity. This innovation could lead to new treatments that protect telomeres and extend health span. So our life depends on telomeres.
So many layers of Reality Hacker, right? The humanized mice, the
extending
playing
human
with
lifetime.
lifespan, exactly.
Yep, Washington State University scientists have developed genetically engineered mice that could help accelerate anti-aging research. Globally, researchers are striving to unlock this idea of extending life and just kind of curing cancers and figuring out what it is that is the cause of aging. Well,
right.
To some degree, they know that it's telomeres, that they break off as your genes are replicated. A little piece kind of flakes off the ends, these telomeres. Washington State University put the article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. And so studying telomeres at the cellular level has been challenging in humans. Now a discovery by a WSU research team published in the journal Nature Communications has paved the way for utilizing these genetically engineered mice in future studies. Led by WSU College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences professor Ji-Yu Shu, the research team has developed mice that have human-like short telomeres, enabling the study of cellular aging as it occurs in the human body and within organs. Normally, mice have telomeres that are up to 10 times longer than humans. This is the first mouse model.
So that's interesting that a mice can even exist with this.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure. They don't live long, so I don't know how shortened telomeres allow them to exist.
I don't either, but maybe they can see that like every mouse lives for, I don't have any idea what their lifespan is. Let's say they normally live 6 months or a year or something, and they can tell with this they live double or something.
It's the Drosophila of mammals.
Right. Yeah, fast lifespans, which make for easier studying.
Yeah, innumerably replicable, because you can just breed them, again and again and again. And as long as you're okay with doing experiments on biological life, then, or, mammalian life at least, then I guess you're okay with doing this. So the work has significant implications for the development of future drugs and treatments. In the long term, it may pave the way for anti-aging strategies aimed at to activating cells to protect telomeres and potentially extend lifespans. Shu noted that many diseases originate at the cellular level, so targeting drugs there is a common strategy. I think it's brilliant. My real problem is you're not going to be able to afford it. Nobody is.
Well, we also, it's tinkering around with some pretty significant things. And, what is that going to do down the road?
Yeah, so the development of these mice began 10 years ago, it says, when researchers gained a deeper understanding of telomere regulation in humans and how it differs from animals. Previously, how telomeres regulated the human aging process could only be studied using isolated human cells in a petri dish. This model is quite different, as it allows us to observe the aging process in a whole organism. Mice are similar to humans in terms of organ structure, genes, genetic makeup. Yeah, we're kind of squirrely that way.
I find it interesting that they can do something relevant to humans in a
In a
mouse.
mouse. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but we're not as squeaky clean as y'all think. Anyway, she received $5 million for studies to further develop the mouse model that simulates human replicative aging, as well as research cancer implications. The funding includes grants from the National Institute on Aging, National Institute on General Medical Sciences, and the U.S. Department of Defense, with the latter to study how telomere length affects melanoma cancer cells. So, theoretically, all of that dried up. All right, folks. Well, we are going to hop on to one of these humanized mice, and that's going to bring us closer to the front page of RealityHacker over at ohmtown.com. And that means that Mayor Watt and the sentient AI from the future is going to end this show and get ready for another show in about 10 to 15 minutes or so. We're going to be reset, and we will do Wanted, which is about gadgets and gear. What say you, AI?
I say, let's do it. Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Reality Hacker. Be sure to stay tuned. We have 2 more shows coming up, and don't forget to subscribe.
You can subscribe here on Twitch and here on YouTube, and go and watch 1,800 episodes. And be sure to download the podcast. There's 7 of them. Just search for ohmTown, and you'll get the whole studio of shows and every season of them. So go now. Go. Bye.